Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope you are having a good week. I'm kind of in a mood. I got one more day of work ahead of me, and then Thursday I'm taking kind of a mini vacation because Thursday is my birthday. I'm planning on enjoying a couple of leisurely activities. On Saturday I'm going out with some friends for some karaoke, and I'm looking forward to that as well. So like I said, I'm in a good mood, which is great because I got a lot of stuff to talk about today, guys. A lot of good news. Of course, going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp here in just a minute. We got Lando back on Star Wars and a few other things to cover as well. A lot of stuff to cover. I don't know if I'm going to get to it all, but if I don't, I'll try to cover it in the next day's show. So let's just get into it, guys. Right now, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the newest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, came out. We're all still reeling from Avengers Infinity War that came out 2 months ago. I'm still watching the film, actually. I saw it again last week as well. I'm still loving and watching Infinity War. And here we have Ant-Man and the Wasp that comes out. Of course, directed by Peyton Reed, who directed the first Ant-Man film. And you got Paul Rudd back, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Pena, and Michael Douglas, with some great new additions such as Michelle Pfeiffer, Hannah John Kamen, and of course Lawrence Fishburne. The film came out this weekend. Looks like it hit about $76 million domestically, $161 overall, and yeah, it's pretty good actually. Considering the first Ant-Man debuted at about $64 million, it is a leg up, so it's on an upward trajectory. Some people are saying it's a little disappointment for a Marvel Studios film, considering that Avengers Infinity War just became one of the biggest grossing films of all time, hitting that $2 billion mark, but really, that was the collaboration and the coming together of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was a big event. It brought all the characters in. It was meant to make a lot of money. This Ant-Man was meant to be a smaller film, and it in so many ways it is. It's compact, it's smaller, bigger than, say, I think the last film, but still a small film compared to something like Infinity War. The success of a film, I think, is judged, of course, by how well the audience perceives it and also the money it makes. And the fact that Ant-Man didn't have a big a budget as, say, Infinity War means it doesn't have to make as much money, which means $76 million for its first weekend is good. I'm still kind of debating whether I want to go see the film or not. I'm going to have a couple days off. I got my movie pass, so I might actually go see it again. Just to let you know, of course, guys, as you know, I do spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film, pause, come back. I really want to get into a lot of fan theories with the end of the film and the post-credit scene and all that. With this one, it's been about 2 years or so since we last saw Scott Lang in Captain America Civil War, and because of that, he has been under house arrest and waiting to get out back into the world. He's been starting his company, the security company, with his friends, which include Michael Pena, who is, again, still funny in this film. And then along comes Hope and Hank. They need his help, but they're kind of cross at him because of the fact that he went off and helped Captain America, which made him a fugitive, which by him using Hank's technology made them a fugitive. But they've been trying to find Hope's mom, Janet, the original Wasp. And along the way, they're being chased by Ghost, who, come to find out, is being helped by an old associate of Hank's, Bill Foster, aka Goliath. But they're not the only ones after him. You also, of course, have the government, as well as Sonny Birch, played by the tremendous Walter Goggins. This guy, I swear, whatever he does, he just got that kind of swagger to him. I mean, I know him a lot from Tarantino films such as The Hateful Eight and Django Unchained. He was also in the Predators film back in 2010, but tremendous actor. I believe he was in The Shield too, right? Tremendous actor. Whatever he does, he just kind of steals the scene. So to have him a part of this film, I thought was a really good move. So anyway, Scott is torn between helping Hope and Hank, and then also trying to get his own life settled by, getting out of the house, getting a job started, and trying to be with his daughter and not be thrown in prison. Let me start off by saying I enjoy the first Ant-Man film. The more I see it, the more I enjoy it. When I first saw it, I was like, whatever, it was okay. But the more I watch it, the more I like it. Maybe it's because I'm a father now myself, so I can latch on to the whole Scott and his daughter with Cassie vibe. But nonetheless, I like it more and more. With this one, I don't think I like it more than the original. It's a bigger story. It's basically what Ant-Man and Wasp does, which is what most films or sequels should do, is take your idea from that first film, your world from that first film, and expand it. I mean, in that first one, we were talking about people expanding and shrinking, and you also had Thomas the Tank, go up. But this one, they're expanding buildings and cars and many other things, and also enter the quantum realm, which, again, we only saw a fraction of in that first Ant-Man film, taking it to a whole different level in this one. And in doing that, I think opens up a lot in regards to the Marvel Cinematic Universe when we find out that there is power in the quantum realm that, if harnessed, can have healing factors. That's what Janet did with Ghost. She used her powers to try to help heal her. Doesn't look like she got all the way, but it's a start. And at the end there, you had Lawrence Fishburne with the Ghost, and they realized they're still working on her, and it's still going to be, not perfect. But I like the fact that she wasn't a complete villain. She was a young woman who had been used because of her powers as a government assassin, and then she just was on a desperate mission not to die. I mean, she wanted, she wasn't a bad person, really. I mean, Bill, who's helping her, is not a bad person. He wouldn't help her take Cassie. He drew the line. So Bill, we know, is a good person. And by associating with her, he feels, that she's not a bad person. I never got the sense, after you realize what was happening to her, that she was a bad person. She was a person on the end of a rope, and she would do anything to save her life. I think anyone in her place would do the same. I think maybe the highlight of the film, as much as I enjoyed it, was of course the post-credit scene. But first, let me talk a little bit about Wasp. Evangeline Lilly, and you have all these other women in the cinematic universe. You also have Captain Marvel that's coming up. I thought Evangeline Lilly as Wasp in this was great. The way her and Michael Douglas and Paul Rudd play off each other was great. And a highlight of the film, stepping aside for a sec, was the way Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd did that little narrating scene. Michael Pena does this classic narrating, and it was mainly Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly that were doing kind of the work in that one. And it was hilarious. I'll have to go back and watch it again to see if I enjoyed it more than the ones from the first film, but I think I might have. And you do have all the laughs, of course. You can't put Paul Rudd as your star and not expect a lot of laughs. People criticize sometimes these Marvel movies for the laughs, but it's how it's all used, right? I thought Thor Ragnarok had way too many laughs for a Thor film. I was talking to someone about this just I think it was Saturday. I went to a party, and he asked me, "Oh, you like Thor Ragnarok, right?" And I was like, no, I didn't, because it didn't feel like a Thor film. Thor is supposed to be Shakespearean and epic. Yeah, you can have your occasional joke in there. That's great. But there was just too many in Thor Ragnarok for me. But when I walk into an Ant-Man film, knowing that it's Paul Rudd, knowing what to expect from the first film, I expected the jokes. It was still a little more than I would like, but nonetheless, I thought it was okay. Okay, post-credit scene. So you knew this was coming. It's not really a post-credit scene. It's a mid-credit scene. The post-credit scene, I was talking to my brother about this after I got out of the film. I feel like Marvel's post-credit scenes have now become a waste. because now they're not actually something that's teased. You get the mid-credit scene that actually applies to the story or applies to what's to come. And the post-credit scene in a lot of the Marvel movies are just kind of throwaway. In this one, the post-credit scene was just the ant playing the drums, which for me was the worst part of the Ant-Man Wasp trailer. I'm kind of glad that was at the end of the film and not right in the middle, because that would have thrown me off, because again, I just thought it was horrible. And then you have, when you take the giant ants and how they were used in the film, I think it worked. Hank made them bigger so they could help him work on the quantum tunnel. So that made sense to me in the fact that Hank was pretty much controlling them. Yes, you had an ant filling in for Scott while he was out going on his adventures, but you got to just say, yeah, that wasn't great, but the rest of the film makes up for it. That's what happens to me with films. I don't love everything about every film. It's just how many things you love weighed against how many things you didn't like, and usually the good outweighs the bad. Okay, so mid-credit scene. We knew this was coming, guys. Scott goes into the quantum realm to collect some of the quantum energy, and in doing so, he gets trapped there. Why? Because Janet, Hope, and Hank are dusted. That's right. We're all caught up to Infinity War. Scott is trapped in the quantum realm, and that was probably the best tag we could have gotten. I mean, I figured there was going to be a dusting. We were going to get caught up to Infinity War, and I figured that, it was going to happen. But to make it all three of them and Scott trapped in the quantum realm was probably the best thing that could have happened, the best way they could have done a dusting in this film. So now it comes to theories. What's going to happen? We've seen set photos of Ant-Man with Captain America and Robert Downey Jr. And one thing I think is going to happen is some time travel. Because before he entered into the quantum tunnel, they were talking about, warning him, hey, just be careful because time moves differently there. And I think Scott's going to be trapped there for a little bit of time, because we know that time passes, or there's rumor that time passes between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4. And I think Scott is going to be trapped in the quantum realm for that whole time, and he finds a way out by going back in time. And given the fact that these set photos of Avengers 4, where people are thinking that we're going back to the original Avengers film, The Battle for New York, maybe Scott is going to pop out back in time and help out in the original battle. I don't know, but it sounds like a cool idea. The fact that they gave the warning of time and the way it moves in the quantum realm before he went in, I think that's definitely going to play a factor. Another piece of the puzzle is Sonny Birch. This is kind of a big fan theory that people have been talking about, as far as he's talking to employers on the phone. Who's he talking to? No one really knows. There's a couple of fan theories. He might be talking to Hydra, Justin Hammer, AIM, or the two ones are Norman Osborn or Doctor Doom, which makes sense. We're talking about technology, world-changing technology with the quantum realm, so that's definitely something that's going to pique the interest of a Doctor Doom or Norman Osborn. I don't think we're going to find that out for a while, because I don't think it's Doctor Doom. But if they seal the deal with Fox, that could easily say, hey, remember back in Ant-Man and Wasp? Yeah, well, Sonny was talking to Doctor Doom. I think it's more likely he's talking to Norman Osborn, because I think they do have plans for Norman Osborn in future Spider-Man films. So I think that's the more likely scenario. Of course, you have the Hydra as well, but in any event, that's a big kind of question that's been going around. I really don't care about it. I mean, I could take a couple guesses, because at this point, it could be anybody. There could be a dozen people that it could be. So, there's nothing specific. I don't even think, honestly, they know who it is. Much like in that first Ant-Man film, where you had the picture of Hank and Janet, but Janet's face was covered. Why? Because they hadn't cast Michelle Pfeiffer yet. They hadn't cast Janet yet. Same thing here. You could, not know who he's talking to on the other phone and, fill it in later depending on how it fits your story. and I'm okay with that. So let's get into a couple more fan theories. Just a couple. Let's see here. Hope and her powers. Or no, excuse me, Janet and her powers. So there's kind of a thing about, she's been in the quantum realm. She's got that quantum energy, and she uses that to help Ghost, heal herself. So people are speculating maybe this is the beginning of mutants, aka the X-Men. They could pivot over to that. But again, with Doctor Doom and the X-Men, guys, look, I know Kevin Feige has said he knows what he wants to do with them. He says, I have a couple ideas. No, he knows what he wants to do. Just like with Civil War, before they had Spider-Man, he knew exactly what he wanted to do when they got Spider-Man. He's thought about that. He's a really smart guy, okay? He has all these scenarios, plan A, plan B, what if this happens, what if that happens, and that's why he's so good at his job. And Lord Savior Kevin Feige, we trust. He knows what he wants to do with the X-Men and Fantastic Four, but this whole thing with Janet, I don't think could turn out to be something totally different. With the quantum realm as well, when we're talking about time and space and really just the universe in general, there's almost unlimited things we could do with it, as far as even connecting to, say, some of the Infinity Stones, in my opinion. I think you could definitely do that as far as accessing powers and accessing, realms that we have no idea about. Now, one recent theory I saw today, which I'm kind of on board for actually, has to do with Cassie. And this one, one of the best parts about this film was the family aspect. The first Ant-Man was about fathers and daughters with Hope and Hank, and also Cassie and Scott, and it's kind of the same thing in this, the reflections of the family relationships and dynamics, which is why I'm totally on board for Peyton Reed doing a Fantastic Four film. Back in the early 2000s, he had a script for it, he wanted to do it so bad, he's still talking about it, and if Marvel Studios gets Fantastic Four back, I'm totally on board with it, especially looking at this film, the way he deals with family dynamics and the science aspect of everything. Totally on board for Reed doing a story about the Fantastic Four. But with Cassie, it's funny because when you talk about a time lapse as well, in this film she really wants to help out her dad, but she knows she can, so she lets Hope help her in that regards. But in the comics, Cassie actually becomes a superhero on the Young Avengers called Stature, and then later she becomes Stinger, and she uses powers with the Pym particles, and I could totally see something like that happening in the MCU. I mean, give it a couple of years, and maybe if we do some time traveling, I think it'd be very interesting to see him pop out, say in the future perhaps, and Cassie is early 20s, late teens, and she's a superhero. The main theme or the main story, I think, throughout these Ant-Man films is Scott's relationship with his daughter and how he wants to stay close to her and how he's trying to fight his own nature and be a good person so he can be with her. I think him jumping ahead and seeing an older version of herself would definitely give some interesting storylines to play with in that regard. But those are just a couple of theories I wanted to share I thought were cool. But Ant-Man and the Wasp, I did enjoy it, guys. If you like Ant-Man, the first one, go see it. If you like Marvel movies, definitely go see it. You don't have to stay for the post-credit scene. Just go for the middle film. Of course, I say this now as I've just spoiled every spoiler for you. So if there are other things, go back and see it. Get a fresh perspective on it. Also, fire back on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and the Gmail account. Let me know what you guys think about the movie too. Alright guys, so I am already over my time limit for a normal show. I talked more about that than I thought I was going to. So I'm going to skip all other stories except for one. And that is, according to Hollywood Reporter, Billy Dee Williams is going to return as Lando Calrissian in Star Wars Episode 9. That's right. Lando is back, ladies and gentlemen. And this is just after a couple of days of getting the announcement that Kerry Russell from The Americans is going to be playing a part in episode 9 as well. We don't know who she's going to be playing, but she's going to be in the film, which is great. She's worked with J.J. Abrams before on the TV show Felicity, so she's a good actress. I'm on board with that. I loved Kerry Russell ever since I saw her in Honey, I Blew Up the Baby back in the early 90s. So go watch that movie if you haven't, guys. But first, see the original, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Anyway, a lot of people have been waiting for this moment where Billy Dee Williams was going to come back into these Star Wars movies. Now, he's still been in the Star Wars family. He's done voice acting for Star Wars Rebels, and he's been doing the convention circuits. But in recent months, he's canceled a lot of them due to conflicting schedules. Rumor has it he got his own personal trainer, much like how Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher did when they started back with Star Wars in The Force Awakens. So The Hollywood Reporter is saying that he's coming back, and I'm ecstatic about it, really. Of course, given the fact that we're not going to have Luke, really, except for maybe in ghost form. We're not going to have Leia, because the sad passing of Carrie Fisher, and of course we're not going to have Harrison Ford as Han. Bringing back Lando, one of the original cast members of the original trilogy, is great. I will say I thought it might be a surprise in The Last Jedi, but there were a lot other surprises in The Last Jedi. When Leia sent out the distress call at the end of the film for help, there was a little piece of me that thought that Lando was going to be the one to come help them out. But nonetheless, Lando coming back, I mean, who knows what part he's going to play, except for the fact that he's going to continue to be that anchor of the original trilogy for this new trilogy. I think it's a smart move, of course. What capacity he's going to be in the film, whether it's just a cameo or not, I don't know. Lisa was talking about, well, maybe he'll be there for Leia's funeral. And I was like, yeah, but he wasn't there for Han's funeral either, so nonetheless, Billy Dee Williams back. That's awesome. We'll see what happens to his character. I think him reuniting with Chewie is going to be something cool. Even the fact that, you're not going to have your original 3 in there. With Chewie and Lando, it's all going to be good, guys. I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Star Wars and the direction where we're going after The Last Jedi. But for me, having Billy Dee Williams back in the Star Wars world as Lando, it can't hurt. It can only help, okay? Even though I love what Donald Glover did with young Lando, having the original Lando back is cool with me, and I would be very surprised to find anyone who is not happy about this. If you're not happy about this, hit me up, let me know, and I'll tell you why you're wrong, guys. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for me today. Of course, I've gone over, so thanks for sticking with me. Time for you guys to fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let me know what you think about Ant-Man and the Wasp. Did you like it better than the first film or less? And, of course, what do you think it sets up for not only the next Ant-Man film, but also the MCU? Do you think Scott being trapped in the quantum realm, what is going to come of it when we get to Avengers 4? Because I'm of the theory that I think it might play a very pivotal role, the quantum realm, in Avengers 4, and Scott on top of that. So let me know, guys. And of course, Billy Dee Williams back in Star Wars, and Kerry Russell joining Star Wars. Thoughts on that? I want to talk. I want to discuss. Get on it, guys. I will be back on Thursday. Now, like I said, Thursday is my birthday, so I have time to do a show. I didn't cover a lot of things. Now, I'm kind of thinking about doing a special show on Thursday in regards to some of the current statuses of fandom. I haven't talked or commented a lot about what's going on with Star Wars fandom and just geek fandom in general. I thought about throwing my 2 cents in. I have a couple other things I want to talk about that I didn't get to today, so I don't know, guys. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm off Friday too, so who knows? And Saturday, I might, do something then. But I'm hoping maybe to get 2 more shows in this week. Definitely Thursday, and then maybe Saturday. We'll see. I am done, guys. Go out, enjoy the rest of your week, and may the Force be with us all.